Mhm.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar with Mentwell. My name is Emily McFarlane. I'm the Senior Campaign Lead here at Birchal. And just before I introduce the wonderful Nikki, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land from which we are beaming to you from today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. So today I'm joined by the team at Mentwell, in particular Nikki. Birchal's working with Mentwell on their upcoming crowdsource funding offer. So a few of you might not be familiar with what crowdsource funding is, also known as CSF. So some people might know it as equity crowdfunding, and it's a relatively new form of fundraising in Australia that started in around 2018, and it allows startups and small businesses to raise capital from a larger number of smaller or retail investors, as well as wholesale or sophisticated investors through an online platform such as Birchal. So instead of seeking funding from traditional sources such as bank loans or venture capitalists, companies can turn to the general public, and often in this case, it can be their communities, to raise money in exchange for equity in their business. So Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary for this offer. And I just want to remind everybody on this webinar today that the information and discussion in this webinar is for informational purposes only, and it should not be considered as advice or a recommendation to invest. So please do your own research before investing, and always consider the offer document and the general CSF risk warning before investing. If you do need any more information or you've got any questions, please head to birchal.com. Now, here's how today's session is going to run. Nikki and the team are going to take us through a fantastic presentation, which will run for around 15 to 20 minutes, all about Mentwell, where they've come from, what they're looking to do with their capital raise this year, and then we'll switch to a Q&A session. So if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little Q&A bubble. And if you have any questions during today's session, please pop it in the Q&A box as we go along, and at the end, we'll answer those. So we're also recording today's session. So if you do have to jump off early for any reason, a recording will be sent around. So without further ado, I'd love to hand over to Nikki. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for such a warm introduction. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we have some of our team here, which I'll walk you through very quickly. And each person will do a very short introduction. So first and foremost, hi, I'm the CEO and founder of Mentwell. I'm a repeat founder. I am very, very passionate about mental wellness and health in general, and generally helping out our communities to connect better. Next up, I'll ask maybe Lizzie to say a quick hello and a quick introduction.
Sure. Hello. I'm Lizzie. I'm supporting in marketing management and brand and social media communication strategy, and just here to support Nikki and the team and how Mentwell comes to life in the general public.
Thanks so much, Lizzie. Next up, we'll have Charlotte.
Hi there. We're on with the video, slight glitch. Hi, I'm Charlotte Petrus. Good morning, everyone. I'm the Chief Financial Officer here at Mentwell. I've spent more than 20 years working in finance and fintech across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and the UK. I've founded, scaled, and sold my own fintech business, and now I'm really focused on working with purpose-driven businesses, really in the area of social or environmental impact. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Charlotte. Next up, we will have Annie.
There I am. Hi, everyone. I'm Annie, Company Secretary and Operations Manager with Mentwell. I have a pretty diverse experience in acquisitions, operations, compliance, HR, and marketing. I've been around from the initial conception, so this is super exciting to go down this path now.
Thanks so much, Annie. Now we have our lovely Anton here as well. A heads up that he has been a bit unwell, so we'll see how his voice is going this morning. Hi, Anton.
Good morning. I'm Anton, CTO. I've been in the IT industry for almost 25 years now. Everything from from small startups, scale ups to large corporates. As Nikki said, I'm recovering from an awesome cold, so I sound terrible, but yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much. And I will let everyone know that we did offer Anton a Mentwell card this morning. Moving on, we do have one other member of Mentwell who is not currently here. That's Alex Tassoni. He's our chairman. I'll fill in the gaps for you. So Alex has been on board for around about 3 months now. He has been integral in getting together a pipeline of incredible companies who want to use Mentwell, and also, I guess, planning the logistics around the raise for our pre-seed as well. He has experience from a product perspective and a finance background too, and he's also supported a number of businesses launching into the US. So hopefully you can see we've got a diverse range of people, but we are all working across a number of different areas of the business at the moment. But I've got to say, I've never worked with such an empowered team, and it really is such an honor to be able to work with an incredible array of people. All right, so now we will move on. For anyone who wasn't at the last webinar, I do always do something called a drop-in first, which is just a very quick practice to get a little bit more embodied before we go through the presentation. So I'll invite everyone to please put both feet onto the ground for me and sit back in your chair, get relaxed. And I'm just going to walk you through a very, very quick breathwork practice, okay? So when you're ready, close your eyes for me. And you're going to inhale through your nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thanks for going through that with me, everyone. It's just a quick practice to feel a bit more embodied and prepared. And if you can take note, everyone is now a little bit more prepared to hear some information about Mentwell. So thank you again for joining me. Bear with us while we just figure out our quick share screen process. Oh, look, it's done it for me very quickly today. I love it when tech actually works out easily. So, almost. Beautiful. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and for wanting to learn a little bit more about Mentwell. We are certainly very excited to share this global first with you and also for you to get to know the team a little bit more as well. I hate to tell you, but the world is actually in a mental health crisis at the moment. We have a 24/7 news feed and direct line to our jobs in our pocket, and it's taking a toll on this generation more than ever. And it's not only mental health. Over half of us have a disorder or condition that is expected to last 6 months to a year or even longer. And this problem is costing all of us something. With absenteeism, staff turnover rates, and more, businesses are losing billions of dollars every year. And it's also costing us as individuals and communities every year as this trend continually gets worse year on year. I'm a part of these statistics, and I was a part of these costs to society. But this journey didn't start because of a self-realization. I just wanted to simply help a friend by helping her pay for a therapy appointment. And very quickly, I found out that there was nowhere to do this anywhere in the world simply, securely, and discreetly. And it appears that I'm not the only one who wants to spend in this way. The wellness industry is worth $5.2 trillion a year, and Australians are in the top 10 spenders within this space. As Australians, health and wellness and alternative modalities are in our DNA, with 2/3 of us actually already using these alternative and complementary-based therapies. We're also acutely aware of the need to be more environmentally conscious, so gift cards that don't need shipping and gift experiences that don't waste material goods fit our moral code. We spend billions on gift cards every year for each other, for the environment, for their flexibility, and for their simplicity. The pieces have been there to solve this mental health crisis. It's people spending on health and wellness and on each other. But until now, the link to connect that chain simply hasn't been there. This is the gap, the opportunity that Mentwell is taking advantage of. Mentwell is really just like every other gift card for purchase and redemption. It's familiar to consumers and works with current payment systems. It's quick, it's easy, it's secure, and it's simple. The purchaser, whether that's an individual or an organization, provides the name and email or mobile number. Then the receiver gets a notification via text or email, and they can verify their card. From there, the digital card sits in their digital wallet, as you can see on the screen there. And then the individual can use that card number either by booking online, as we usually would with a MasterCard or a Visa, for example, or they can use it with a tap and go methodology just on the side of an EFTPOS after their treatment. The difference with this digital card, though, is that it's for a completely new market. The receiver gets to choose how they redeem with any health or wellness service provider Australia-wide. By gifting a Mentwell card, you are giving access to choice, the opportunity for them to choose how they want and need to take their health and wellness journey, no matter what or who is supporting them along the way. And as some of you may or may not know, that journey towards health and wellness can look significantly different from person to person. And it's very new as a concept for a lot of people. So users can redeem however they choose, but we also facilitate the exploration and discovery of these services by bucketing our services into three. So identification includes things like GPs, dentists, any talk therapy, and all allied health. Transformation includes all alternative and complementary-based therapies. And maintenance includes things like gyms, wellness centres, sports clubs, spas, and we've also included chemists on there for the time being too. This is a really unique way to have what is effectively a generic gifting solution, but one that actually tailors to any individual's preferences and needs. It's familiar and intuitive technology that negates any real learning curve, despite it being a completely new concept. Unlike most new products on the market, this isn't something people need to learn how to use. It's creating a way for people to help each other in a way that they've never been able to before. And what's amazing is that those people can be friends, they can be family, they can be beneficiaries, co-workers, colleagues, or more. And what's better is that we've actually found a loophole in the gift card industry. That means we do not need opt-in from our health and wellness service providers for them to be able to accept a Mentwell card. That means we currently have cards being redeemed as we speak at GPs, at dentists, at psychologists, for example, who have no idea who Mentwell is. And speaking of expansive, Mentwell also encourages and facilitates exploration, which is not only functional to the receiver, but it's also an incentive to pay it forward and repeat purchase for others in their lives. It's network marketing at its best. And its reach goes even further by providing not-for-profits, charities, community groups, and more a new way to engage their community in donations and in partnerships. It's an enormous business opportunity for the service providers too, the health and wellness service providers, and also for businesses who are taking advantage of Mentwell for their employees. Businesses directly benefit from their teams feeling better. It's been proven that productivity can be increased by up to 30% with things like meditation, for example, or 20% with a healthy diet, or 15% just with regular exercise. So Mentwell helps people to help each other, which in turn helps us all in our homes, in our communities, and also in our workplaces. There is nothing like this anywhere else in the world. We are starting a completely new path, but we're taking advantage of existing opportunities and also taking note of behavioural trends to benefit every single one of us. But there's also existing understanding of this need significantly here in Australia. We know that in regional areas in particular, they deal with unique challenges that affect mental health, things like fires and floods, for example. Mentwell allows us to consciously and empathetically support people in communities after catastrophic events have happened. We've already been able to help facilitate cards being sent to those who are affected by the recent Bondi attack. Is just one example of how Mentwell cards can change people's lives. And this just really makes sense, really, because Australians have a really long history with supporting one another. With this new mental health crisis challenge in front of us, it's just another that we're well poised to take on together. Because our market and human nature already supports connection, we have reach and revenue streams across a sales funnel spectrum. We have the ability to market directly to individuals, to businesses seeking to improve their employee benefits and retention, and even to the service providers themselves. We are also building a co-branded business, allowing us to establish formal partnerships for distribution to those who are in need. This also creates a new way for people to donate to charities and not-for-profits confidently. Lastly, we are actively exploring expansion opportunities into New Zealand, and then a fast follow will definitely be the US, followed by the UK. We can already do that because within less than 18 months, we've gone from a light bulb to launch and achieved incredible momentum too. We've secured significant and notable investors, millions in sales, entered into corporate and charitable partnerships, and we're already getting noticed in the media too, as well as a number of different conferences after the last few weeks I've had, Australia-wide too. We have cards out there being redeemed as we speak, and we've already made a huge impact in this space. And all of that is without any marketing spend. So this concept is clearly landing hard. And that's because it's, again, simple, intuitive, and it's in demand. We are now open, of course, to you lovely Birchal investors to help propel us from the existing story that we're writing here in Australia to more people in this country and then globally. Through business development, sales, marketing, and PR, and the ability to expand our resources to tackle, say, the technical and legal requirements globally, this is how we'll end up spending the capital raised. The crisis doesn't always look the same to everyone, as I've mentioned, and neither does the solution. But Mentwell is diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in action. It's important to us as Australians, but also as a growing trend and business opportunity. The same device and behaviour that's keeping us disconnected and contributing to our mental health crisis can now finally be used as a powerful tool that we can use to support each other. By nurturing healthy minds and bodies, we can grow as prosperous people, businesses, and communities. Clearly, the market is really ready for this, and we're already getting incredible feedback. And now you have the chance to be a part of this legacy and a part of incredibly positive change in the world around us. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and I'd love to take it to a Q&A.
Thanks so much, Nikki. That was awesome. Really, really appreciate it. So first and foremost, one of the questions that we see a lot is, why equity crowdfunding? Why would you not go through a traditional force, and why are you coming to a platform like Birchal?
Great question. So economically, especially in the investment market, it is clear that everyone's been hit quite hard by the cost of living in particular. And as a result, there is much less capital available for raising, especially a pre-seed fund. And we knew that this is a cause that speaks to humanity. It speaks to human connection, and it speaks to the humane element of who we are and how we want to connect with one another. So Birchal made sense in that we could gain different types of investors through the one mechanism. And in addition to that, obviously, Birchal is an incredible platform with an incredible name as well. And it has really been proven to be a great marketing tool as well. So those were the reasons why we went down an equity funding route, crowdfunding route rather.
Awesome. So obviously your platform is quite different to traditional gifting sites. How do you make sure that your IP is defensible?
Great question. So for example, I interviewed 50 different fintech companies globally in order to build this business. And none of those fintech providers, bar one, could actually do what we needed them to do. in terms of being able to create a card that was only available for use with health and wellness service providers. So that still, as far as I'm aware, is the truth, that other fintech providers can't seem to replicate what we've done. And then the fintech provider who we have gone with, we have a 3-year exclusivity deal with them. In addition to that, we are first to market as well, which means that we're trying to raise capital to gain further momentum. As you can see, without any marketing spend or any spend behind us, we've been able to gain incredible traction. And you can only imagine what extra capital is going to do to further, I guess, create that runway for us and also reach new audiences.
100%. So something that is at the forefront of a lot of people's minds is data and data breaches. Where and how is your data stored, and how do you ensure that it's secure?
Thank you. So everyone listening, we have a little thing in our team where we pass the puck when we want to go to someone else in our team. So I'm going to pass the puck over to Anton. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I'll try my best not to lose my voice. Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, obviously, the easiest way to protect data is to not collect it in the first place. So that's our first port of call, which is only gather the information that we need. Everything is encrypted while it's in transit. Everything is encrypted as we store it. All of our environments are separate. It's almost impossible to get onto our production environment by design. Further down the track, once we get a bit more funding, we'll probably head down the route of things like ISO certification, just to back up some of these claims. And I do have another one. What was it? Oh yeah, so if you're talking about credit card, obviously we're dealing with cards, so we're going to handle credit card information. We don't deal with that directly ourselves. That's done through a world-leading third-party provider. And they have all the PCI DSS compliances. So I hope that answers your question.
No, that was great, Anton. Thank you so much. Obviously, you're raising funds at the moment, and you'll have a target in mind that you want to raise to achieve your goals as a business. How did you come up with this number?
Sure. So we modeled the basic team required in order to focus on corporate sales and integrations with the likes of health insurers and charities. We made an estimation that these are the minimum number of resources required in order to reach our targets within the next year. And so we worked backwards, as mentioned, through that financial planning in order to come to the raise required for this pre-seed round.
Great, thank you so much. So knowing there will eventually be competitors in this market space for you, how are you strengthening your brand?
Great question. So part of what we want to do once we do have capital to work with is make sure that we solidify ourselves in the market, given we were first to market. I will also say that obviously having competitors is actually a good thing. If we bring it back to basics, if you have a pizza shop in an unknown area, a secondary pizza shop is actually going to bring more people to the area to buy pizza. It's a common story. It's a known methodology. So we're waiting for those competitors, to be honest. Sorry, Emily, what was the second half of that question?
No, you're fine. So basically it's just around strengthening your brand to compete with competitors in the space when they do come in.
Sure. Product development will be a huge part of that. And we have already made a huge effort in the first year already to make sure that we have multiple platforms available for different types of people using the platform. From those who are giving the cards to those who are receiving the cards in terms of the directory, the service providers as well, and building out additional value for them. And yeah, in general, product development is going to play a huge part in that. I might actually ask if any of the rest of the team does want to add to that though.
I can
Alex,
jump in on that.
Thanks, Lizzie.
Especially because Alex isn't here. So that's part of the strength in it is not only the fact that we're first to market, but I know that there's been questions around, okay, there's all this success to date with zero marketing spend. Why marketing spend? So the idea is not just to be first to market, but be strongest to market. And that's going to take marketing funds. That takes marketing and brand strategy to create that awareness and familiarity and ultimately affinity and trust. And, I'm going to use bad North American examples, but there's a reason we say Band-Aid instead of plasters and Kleenex instead of tissues and rollerblades instead of inline skates. When you're first to market and you have the strongest brand affinity and trust beyond just awareness, that's what creates that connection with consumers, regardless of competitors. And then to Nikki's point, the competitors only strengthen the value in that market, in that sector of the marketplace.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much, Lizzie. Another question that I had actually was around the actual mental health crisis that we're currently in, particularly in Australia. Is there a way that you can work with the government to implement some strategies and try to improve that? Because I imagine it costs the government a lot of money.
It absolutely does. The government tend to be very slow movers in general. I have spoken to the Mental Health Commissioner of New South Wales, of South Australia, and of Queensland, who every single one of them and their teams have been elated at this as a business. But in order for it to be implemented, it is going to take a long time. And that's why we need other go-to-market strategies as well. However, this is a call out, more of a human call out than anything, that if anyone in the audience here today does know significant people in the health department, please get in touch with us, because not only are we trying to build a business here that is hugely profitable, but one that is actually helping people, and networks and getting in front of the right people within government agencies is going to be integral, very, very important. So if you know someone, please reach out.
Great, thank you. Actually, that really opens up the floor for new questions. How do you envision shareholders influencing decision-making in the business going forward?
Sure. So we are definitely open to ideas. I would like this to be a company where we are able to take on different advice, opinions, certainly networks, definitely. For those larger shareholders, and there are quite a number of people who have put in quite significant EOIs for the heads up, we are more than open, and we've already started those communication points around them perhaps having more involvement with the business. We haven't put together an advisory board yet. That's because we want to be able to make decisions in a very agile manner. However, we will need to go down that line at seed stage in particular. So those who do have larger check sizes available, we would love to speak to you about being involved more so down the line.
Perfect. Is there the opportunity for smaller shareholders to, put in their opinion, have a chat with you, say this could be a great initiative, et cetera, et cetera?
Absolutely. There's a few ways that you can do that. Obviously, our social channels, please be a part of the community and the conversation that's already started around this product and the impact that it can have. Second to that, you can call out to me directly. I love speaking to people who know about the business and educating or just having a chat about the possibilities. In addition to that, if you are someone who's a connector, and I know there's a few of you out there, on the business sign up page on our website, there's actually a referral area. So if you send that to people who are in HR, for example, who are CEOs, anyone who is the gatekeeper to sending out gift cards, EAP systems, and their implementation, or health and wellness incentive programs within corporate environments, please send them that link and tell them to put your name in there, and then we can get in touch with you to make sure that you're a little bit closer to the internal team.
That's awesome. Thank you, Nikki. So at the moment, I know you said you don't have an advisory board, but it does seem like you might have a board chairman. Who is on your board?
Yes, so at the moment it is just Alex Tassoni, who I did a little introduction to earlier, and myself at the moment. That we aren't creating a formal board, we are just directors. So myself as founder and director, and then Alex Tassoni, as mentioned, as chairman. And from there, as I mentioned, it will be around seed stage that we start putting together that formal board. And there are a few people that we've already started questioning, already started hanging out with a little bit more frequently, if you know what I mean, just to make sure that we're getting together an educated, but also a cohesive group of people to board this business.
Amazing, thank you. So I know obviously you've already launched in Australia. Are there plans to take this internationally?
Without a doubt. It is my aspiration to get to the US within 2 years. If we can make that happen earlier, then I would love to be able to do that. But a part of that setup will require capital. And it is, I think, in our best interest to start exploring what that looks like and what states we want to go into in the US in particular, as soon as we do have capital available. I already have a few advisors over in the US too who are helping me navigate how to do that, when to do that, and with what team. But again, it is capital that will be able to drive that.
So is that part of the use of funds that for this raise? Are you looking to go international with these, or what are you using the funds for?
The funds will start that process. So research into different states, their needs, legislation, etc., will be a part of how we use this capital, as well as finding the right implementation as well. So getting the business set up in Delaware, for anyone who's done it before, it's usually the go-to area to do it, as well as anything that we can do to start making footprints over there, we will be doing with this capital raise, yes.
Awesome, thank you. So obviously you're a really fresh new business. You haven't been around for a super long time. What have been your proudest moments and collaborations to date?
Oh, great question. I think the one that I'm most proud about was the realization that we could auspice off a friend's DGR status. For anyone that didn't understand that sentence, it is me piggybacking off a friend's charity so that we could receive funds on behalf of what happened in Bondi just a month to 2 months ago. And as a result, we could work with a local charity in order to get cards to those who were directly affected. Now, the reason why that rings so true for me as the most important and significant thing that we've done is because the mental health crisis has a ripple effect. I'm sure everyone is starting to grasp that as a concept. By being able to bring in Mentwell at the time of crisis or very soon after crisis, that ripple effect actually starts being minimized. That means that people can start looking after themselves earlier and start looking after each other earlier. And the human impact of doing that will have a huge significance for generations to come if we can get this business off the ground in the way that we want to. In addition to that, I must say, more on a lighthearted note, I have done a number of pitches around Australia now, and been on a number of different panelist situations at conferences too. And I think just being able to talk about the Mentwell concept and see people wake up to the idea in the audience has been a hugely impactful experience for me. More and more, this business is just garnering a huge amount of attention, and it's a really exciting space to be working in.
That's awesome, Nikki, and I think that rings very true probably for most people who are listening to this as well. So obviously you're going to be bringing on the crowd. What does that mean to you in terms of community and having, your newest shareholders? They'll be the biggest brand advocates for you. Is that a key part of your strategy going forward?
It is, absolutely. We want to bring you guys closer. We want to bring our community into a real life environment to experience what Mentwell stands for. And the way that we've decided to do that is to actually roll out a number of different community events, specifically along the East Coast once the capital raise has been finished. What those events are going to look like, this is an Australian first, by the way. I haven't told anyone except the team this, but the way that it's going to operate is by having a panel of service providers, one from each of the categories that I've mentioned within Mentwell. So you've got identification-based service providers, so let's say a psychologist, then they might be sitting next to someone in the energy-oriented space, so let's say a kinesiologist, followed by someone who is a personal trainer. And we will have one person who has obviously signed off all the forms to be okay to talk and discuss their health issue, and then open it up to a public audience to see and experience what that diagnosis period or process would look like, and get a chance to actually see a snippet of what that treatment plan looks like in action as well. So not only are we then attracting service providers, the general public, and we know that HR actually want to see this sort of practice in person. But we're creating a literal community to talk about holistic treatment around health and wellness issues.
Awesome, thank you. What's your onboarding strategy currently for getting new clients across the board?
At the moment, I'm doing a lot of LinkedIn outreach. So we have some automation processes whereby we just send out specific messages to specific groups of people, namely HR managers, people experience managers, unions can be helpful, CEOs, owners of businesses, founders, etc. And then we have conversations with them just via Zoom, and we say, what are you doing in the way of gifting at the moment? How much are you spending in the way of gifting at the moment? Do you think that gifting health and wellness could be a better option over Uber Eats vouchers, JB Hi-Fi vouchers, and Bunnings vouchers? That usually gets them, to be honest. In addition, I ask questions about EAPs as well and what their uptake is in their company. And if there was a better opportunity, would they take it? What kind of budget would they have associated with that? And alternatively, if they're not using an EAP, or even if they are, do they have a health and wellness incentive program available too? So that way we can find out how we can best meet their needs and then further build our product as well to suit their needs. We do have a B2B portal available already, which enables HR managers to bulk purchase cards and then distribute as they see all of their invoices, all of their receipts, etc., in the one place. And we're building out heaps of additional product development in that space as we speak.
Awesome. It feels like you're really hands-on with your approach, Nikki. In terms of being able to pull back a little bit, is the use of funds going to be going to a marketing strategy or onboarding new staff?
It is business development, sales, and people experience, and that will be a dual role with 2 team members, and it's 1 business development manager, and then an additional 2 people to support in the marketing space. So really, in terms of new hires, we're not going big and above and beyond. We are trying to keep it to a core team that functions well so that we can focus on things like marketing, events, and that community space as well, and further spreading the news about Mentwell through partnerships, sponsorship opportunities as well, and then research and development into the US space as mentioned.
Awesome. And so what does your marketing strategy look like? Will it be a mix of influencer marketing, email marketing, digital advertising, out-of-home advertising? What does it look like for you?
Sure. I have worked in marketing for 13 years, and I know that in order for paid channels, so PPC, paid social, etc., to operate effectively, you need to create groundswell in the awareness space first. And therefore, we will be activating those events as mentioned. Content is going to play a huge part in getting the Mentwell name and concept out there. Obviously, EDMs as well, and email marketing. It's one of those beautiful channels that still functions fantastically, even though there's a lot of competition now in the marketing space in general. And then we'll be able to layer that paid social strategy in order to pick up those people who do know about the brand but need to be reintroduced as well. Now, it's worth mentioning here that our model is a B2B2C model. What that means is that we are relying on those big partnerships with the likes of Uber, for example, Safety Culture, big companies to first purchase cards for individuals within their companies, but then they get to become a B2C customer after that. And we're already seeing this happening within the ecosystem, which is great. So clearly that awareness process and that groundswell, as I mentioned, is already happening. But awareness is an ongoing process from a marketing perspective.
How many customers do you currently have using the platform?
Around about 440-ish, give or take.
And is that everyday people like you and I, or is that businesses?
Businesses and consumers as well. In terms of the lean, businesses take up around about 70% of that currently, and the rest are consumers. But I need to say as well, to get a business off the ground with no marketing spend, That means that this is pretty much all being done just by having conversations with businesses, followed by awareness of the brand and people acting on their own accord. That's why we need capital to get this to more people and get people reusing the system as well.
Beautiful, thank you. What does Mentwell's staff support and culture look like?
Great question. So Anton can attest to this, given he's unwell. But Mentwell cards are sort of the basis of one of the ways that we look after each other. We like to give those out on a quarterly basis, which is the same way that we recommend a lot of the businesses that we're working with to use the cards. In addition to that, as much as I'm being fairly serious on the camera right now, I'm actually someone that loves work, and I love to break things down into a really authentic manner. And I think some of the team here today can maybe attest to the fact that our culture is based on being able to express, being able to be ourselves at work, and not having to have that facade of a corporate look and feel, if you will, all of the time. We like to be people who happen to be doing good work rather than being at work and being good people.
That's awesome to hear, and I'm very jealous that you all get these Mentwell gift cards. We're going to need to implement them here at Birchal. So what have been the biggest challenges that you've faced up to date?
That would be waiting times when working with corporates. So there is no rhyme or reason as to how long a corporate will take to implement a new system or new product. That for me, as someone who hasn't necessarily worked in corporate environments a lot in my life, is fascinating, number one, and two, a little bit frustrating, I have to admit. But that means that we need to go wide while being able to nurture the networks and the connections that we've already made with these HR managers, people experience managers, etc. So that has been one of the major struggles, if you will. And then the other one is obviously raising capital, and that's why we've come to Birchal to do this raise.
Awesome. I know in the gift card space, there is an issue with people not actually utilizing the gift cards. What currently are your numbers of purchased versus used?
Thanks for asking, because I love this stat. So it is quite well known that 50% of all gift cards go unused. A majority of the time, the spend that is allocated to those cards goes back to the business that issued them. That is how the likes of Red Balloon, how the likes of Prezi, how the likes of JB Hi-Fi, the likes of Bunnings make their money off gift cards. Okay. So, you know, 1/3 of our cards in a 6-month period have already been used, in comparison to 50% of all gift cards going unused in a 3-year period. That means people seem to be happy to use these cards, and I would go to the extent of saying that they actually need these cards given the economic nature, the economic struggles that we're seeing.
I think that's a really interesting statistic, given how new the company is, and education around utilizing a new product or service is really key for you at this stage. People might get a Mentwell gift card and say, "No, I've not heard of this before. This is really interesting." So to have 1/3 of them already utilizing them within the first 6 months is an incredible milestone.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's something that I want to always press on as well, that we want people to be using these cards. I'll add on to that as well. So although in terms of the contract that we have with our fintech provider suggests that some of that cash won't be able to be spent at charities afterwards, we are in conversations with that fintech provider right now to make sure that those funds are being used in a positive manner. We're getting there, absolutely, but we've got 3 years in order to solve that problem. But in an ideal world, any card that goes unused, we want to be able to use in a few ways. 1, they can resend it to someone else. 2, they can opt to send it to a charity. 3, they can send it to a fund that we look after that then we can distribute to beneficiaries through a charity. So there's a few options there that we're exploring.
Have you seen any redemption challenges as yet?
Redemption challenges? Honestly, no. There was a period there in the 2 to 3 month time frame after we launched where people were saying, "Where exactly can I redeem this?" And that was because we were still building out our directory. Our directory will be an ongoing process in terms of building new functionality, getting as many service providers on there as physically possible. But we have actually quashed that as an issue, it seems, because we haven't had anyone else ask this since, just by putting the little descriptor on that homepage with the drop down of different parts of health and wellness, so that people get a full idea of what health and wellness looks like with a Mentwell card.
That's awesome. In terms of your research and development, I'm sure you've identified some key areas and key demographics that really need Mentwell gift cards. Can you shed a little bit of light on the kinds of people that you want to be utilising and purchasing the Mentwell gift cards?
No problems. I'll answer this in two different ways. So the first category of person is a group of people that we actually found through doing research. It is known that 28 to 36-year-old females gift give to the highest value per year and to the highest frequency per year as well. They also subsequently happen to be those who do alternative and complementary based therapies the most as well. So it's a great market for us to focus on and create that sort of circulaic nature about talking about Mentwell. In addition to that, though, it is actually my prerogative to try and get Mentwell cards to those who are disadvantaged in our communities. So as you can see, there's one version in terms of selling as many as possible. Two, there's also the side of doing good for people who are doing it tough out there. We already have partnerships available with charities who look after those who have experienced homelessness. Now, just to put it out there, can you imagine experiencing homelessness and all of a sudden you come through a charity, you've been given a house, you've been given clothing, you've been given funding for food for, let's say, the first 2 to 3 months, and then you're given a card whereby you can actually look after yourself in terms of health. It is the core element of how people can actually level themselves up in society and stay at a decent level of living. It's the missing key, really, to being able to get the health and wellness level of humans up in our society.
Yeah,
I can actually jump in just to add to that, if that's all right, Nikki. I run, so I'm gonna age myself, like almost 25 years of marketing and branding, but the agency that I own runs half of its operations to nonprofits. And one of the biggest opportunities, not only for Mentwell, but for people, is that charitable organizations struggle a lot with getting financial donations, which is what they need the most for lots of things, for infrastructure, staffing, everything else. But a lot of people have a hesitancy with cash donations because of lack of transparency, not understanding necessarily where it's going. Sometimes they have an idea of what they want to donate. So, for example, food banks can do a lot more with your money than they can with your bag of groceries. But at the end of the day, people are more confident donating groceries. So this is another channel through which consumers, through which organizations, through which companies can donate to charitable organizations with a very specifically directed donation that gives confidence for its use case, in addition to supporting an actual need. So when you're talking, like Nikki said, with shelters, for example, people need very specific support services once they're transitioning out of shelter. And that's something that goes beyond that, base level Maslow's hierarchy. And this is something that facilitates that not only for the recipient, but the donors as well.
Yeah, that's such a good way to color. And interestingly, I think that a lot of people don't understand that that's a huge element of charities as well. And I think it's a great need that you guys are servicing for sure. So we've gone through quite a few questions today. I think that we've come to the end of all of the questions, but obviously if anybody has any questions whatsoever for Nikki and the team, you can reach out via the Birchal platform. If you go to Mentwell's page on Birchal and just press the message button, it will send a message to the team. I know that Nikki is very active on LinkedIn as well, so I'm sure you could reach out via LinkedIn if you like. If you've got any questions around investing at all, please reach out to support@birchal.com where we can answer your questions. There's also a support button on the Birchal website if you are struggling to find that as well. I just want to say thank you to the whole team today for all of your time and your incredible insights around Mentwell. It's a really, really exciting company and I can't wait to see how it goes.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Emily for hosting too. Thank you everyone for being here. And I'm sure my team are equally as thankful. It's been a great session. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.